guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another tackle making video out here in the bait laboratory. Today we're going to be talking about how to make soft plastic laminate baits. Basically, a laminate means you have one side that's one color and another side that's another color. So two different colors in the same bait. There's certain equipment that we need that we're going to go over, and I'm going to go over a bunch of different ways that you can screw this up and how to avoid them, so that way you can learn from the mistakes that I have made over time and come out with better baits than I do in a shorter period of time. Also, all the stuff in today's video is going to be described down below. So basically, there's going to be a product list down in the description of today's video. There's going to be my Do It Molds affiliate link. That's the only way they know that I sent you to go get those products. So if you go to Do It Molds to buy your stuff, make sure to use my affiliate link so they know that I sent you. And make sure to check out that product list down in the description so you know exactly what I'm using to make these baits today. So in order to make these laminate baits, you're going to need some certain types of equipment in order to do it. You're going to need a dual injector with a blending block like this, or you're going to need a mold that has a laminate plate with it. Basically what this does is it allows you to cover the mold just like this and pour one side at a time. So you basically pour one side of your bait, you take this off, then you'd pour your second color once it's closed up like this, so that's going to give you the same effect as doing it with the dual injector. So my preference between the dual injector and having laminate plates is the dual injector for sure. It basically allows both colors to mix together just enough to get great adhesion. You're going to have a much more durable bait, but you're also going to be able to come up with those awesome laminate colors that you're looking for. Now, depending on the style of mold that you get, you might have to use a laminate plate in order to get the laminate effect. Now, when you're using a laminate plate, you're going to basically be putting two sides together. So sometimes those can tear apart a little bit, which is why I prefer the blending block method to get my laminates, but you can still get great and very effective baits with a laminate plate mold. You're just going to have to probably pour at a little bit higher heat in order to get all the adhesion to be as good as possible. So one of the most important things to keep in mind when you're doing laminate baits is temperature of your Plastisol. If you have it too hot, it's going to cause those baits to run together. If it's uneven, one side's going to flow more than the other, and then it's going to mess up your laminate. It's going to be basically one color versus being two different colors. The hot color is going to pour into that mold a lot faster than that colder one, so you need to get the temperatures about even as possible so that way your flow is good. So occasionally what can happen sometimes is one side's thicker than the other because you have salt in one side, more colorant in one side. So sometimes you're going to need to heat that Plastisol up just a little bit more so that way it's a little bit hotter, so it thins out just a little bit, so that way both of the different colors are the same consistency, and sometimes that'll fix your flow issues, and sometimes that'll fix the discoloration or the laminate not being as good as you'd like. Another issue that can happen sometimes when you're pouring laminates is it being too cold. Your Plastisols are too cold, so then that causes the colors to start to solidify inside of your injector or inside the mold or inside the blending block. So what you need to do in those situations, just heat that stuff up a little bit more so that way you get a little bit more time to play with it, and then your laminates are going to come out a little bit better as well. So the next topic that we're going to talk about when it comes to making soft plastic laminate baits is pressure. Pressure is very key when it comes to making these laminates. When you have the dual injector, you want to draw everything up evenly, and then especially on the way down, you want to push from the middle of your injector so that way you have even pressure all the way down, because if you have uneven pressure, that means that one side is going to be pushing out more than the other. Even if it's just slight, you're going to end up having one of your colors overpowering the bait, and then your laminate's going to be gone. The next thing you want to pay attention to when you are injecting these full injectors down into your mold is don't push too fast, because when you start to push too fast, you have the ability to start mixing your colors, the pressure can get uneven, and then at the bottom of the mold, you can end up having too much pressure down there, and that's going to lead us into the next thing about having too much pressure at the end of the pour, where you end up pushing your colors together into one another. Typically at the end of your pour, you're going to feel the plunger stop at the bottom once you've filled up the cavity with your two different colors. Now, if you hold too much pressure at this point, you have a tendency to start forcing those colors together. So basically, you're basically pushing from the pressure of those plungers. You're going to end up pushing everything together because it has nowhere to go, and then those colors are going to start mixing, and it's going to totally mess up your laminate bait. One more thing that I think is crucial when it comes to pouring laminate baits is anytime you start to draw up your Plastisol into the injectors, right before you go to actually put these in the mold and start pouring your baits, you have to check for flow. If you've noticed, when I was doing the pours in the cinematic parts of this video, I would check the flow. I would just push a little bit out just to make sure that I had good flow coming out of my injectors. If you do this, it's going to save you a ton of messed up baits. I can't tell you how many I've saved since I just started doing that little practice of checking to make sure I had good flow, because a lot of times you'll see that one's plugged up or one's way thicker and more runny than the other side, and you need to even things out in order to get a good laminate. That's one of the best tips that I can give you when it comes to pouring laminate baits. So I know these baits that I made today aren't the best laminates that you've ever seen if you've watched a lot of these different videos on YouTube, but I do know that if you take these tips that I talked about in today's video, it's gonna save you tons of messed up baits, tons of messed up Plastisol, and a lot of time. These tips do work, and they will help you make better laminate baits. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate if you did that. If you liked today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or anything like that, leave them down in the comment section. I respond to every single comment that comes in on my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.